Hey everyone, it's Cathy Alessandra, the Yes I Can coach, and I am back with another episode of Yes I Can Living. I'm super excited to be sharing the story of Jen Cox and Momma Osa today. But before we dive down that path and learn all about her, I just want to remind you, if you have not yet subscribed to the magazine, be sure to hop over there and do it. If you go to yesicanliving.com, you can get a subscription so that you can get the weekly email newsletter. So you see all the articles, all kinds of business things, life, love, health, wealth, all the topics. And later in 2022, we will have another print publication coming out. So if you want to be sure to receive that, you definitely need to subscribe today. So without further ado, let's get on with our interview for today and learn about Jen Cox and Momma Osa. So she is a tie-dye ninja and a denim wash specialist. Who knew there was such a thing? I didn't. I've learned a lot getting to know her. She has spent her career designing as a wash specialist for Abercrombie and Fitch, Mossimo Supply at Target, and the private label denim and clothing industry for the past 20 years. She's traveled the world as a denim wash specialist, designing jeans of all kinds with tie-dye products you see in stores. Now, she is a single mom, a Latina owned small business owner, and community builder. She decided to start Momma Osa as a passion project at the end of 2019, when she was still employed at her last company as a way to give back to homeless youth and foster families. She transitioned to Momma Osa as her full-time focus in January of 2020 due to being laid off from losing her long-time career. Now, many of us have had to pivot, but what have we pivoted to? And this is a great story. So creating her passion project into her new full-time business, and it is a full-time business. Jen donates socks and a percentage of every sale to the Covenant House in Hollywood that offers a safe haven and opportunity for homeless youth and to have a second chance at life. Along with Olive Crest that focuses on foster families, transforming the lives of at-risk children through the healing power of a family. Now, Jen constantly listens to where the opportunity takes her. Kicking off this past year, leading virtual event companies to break up their corporate Zoom day with virtual tie-dye parties. She now leads virtual tie-dye parties all over the world, including birthday parties and events and white label corporate sponsored events. So much fun. She brings creative experiences and memories through her community interactive events. She also just launched a new venture, yes, an entrepreneurial, at heart, right? Releasing a luxury lifestyle brand called Momma Coxy & Co., where she's created her signature scent of bespoke candles and luxury tie-dyed caftans, kimonos, and mini dresses from Bali. So her focus is always building multiple streams of income, which we all need to take a lesson from, and supporting, other female entrepreneurs. So Jen, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you being here and sharing your story with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Cathy. I love that you wanted to hear about it. So it's always
absolutely
kind of, nice to hear about it.
Right? Yeah. Well, I think it's important for other women entrepreneurs to hear the journey of other successful women entrepreneurs, the highs, the lows, the celebrations, the trials, right? I mean, all of that. And, we haven't known each other long, but certainly through the pandemic and some of the pivot and what you've transitioned to. So tell us a little bit about why you even, you mentioned that it was to support, some various personal, things that you wanted to do. But when you actually started at the end of 2019, what was the main reason that you really started the company?
So I know I mentioned that my give back was a really big portion of it, but I think when I really think about my life, I think the biggest draw was to really be more present for my kids, to be at home and to have a business that I could work around. And now I didn't know that I was going to get laid off, but I felt like maybe there was this bigger something that needed to happen so that I could be more available to my kids. So I think just in the back of my head, that was my inner desire, was to be a career woman out of my house. I had an amazing job, so don't get me wrong, was so grateful for that. But I just felt like there was something else, kind of working inside of me. And so that was really the launch. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start this project. I had built the website, and if the foundation was not in place when I got laid off, I feel like things could have been a little bit, different of a course for me because the foundation was already there. And I'm so grateful that, I put that into place before things really got, moving.
Right. How interesting that the idea or the concept of it even came to you to start before things got a little crazy in 20. I
Yeah,
mean, who would have guessed where we would be here at the almost the beginning of 2022,
right.
right? And the craziness. So so absolutely. So tell us a little bit about, I know, making a change like that. And then of course, during the last couple of years and some different shifts and stuff, what have been some of your biggest challenges kind of stepping into that full time? Actually, let me back up one question. What are the ages of your kids?
I have a 9-year-old and a soon to be 12-year-old. So
Okay.
they're little guys. Yeah.
So being at home, being a single mom. So tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced during this transition, or, kind of launching into this full time. And how did you overcome those?
Wow, that's a really loaded question, right? Because I'm going to be really honest because I think that that's important, is that,
Thank you.
I went from making this very healthy salary, having help at home because I traveled. I was on a plane, sometimes twice a month. I was in China 4 or 5 times a year. I have a really strong support system. My parents live next door. My mom passed away, but my dad lives next door. I had a nanny who would come and help a few times a week. And so I have a really good support system. So changing that over to, all right, what is this new life going to look like? And really, like, is my budget in place? Are those things going to happen? That was like a very big challenge for me, because going from like a career woman where, your strategy and your business is at work, and then your home life, you have, basically someone like attending to the things that you need to do in order to run your home. So that shift was, first of all, a huge shift for me as a mom, as an entrepreneur. And then honestly, when I got laid off, it was a time for me to really reflect, like, what is it that I really want to do? Is this something viable? Is it something that I can actually sink my teeth into and drive a business with? And I'll tell you, I wasn't sure at the beginning.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure. Our launch party, I started with socks and tees with a very simple concept of like, I just want to be able to give back. That was really the start, on top of like being a mom and working at home. And what ended up happening was that we did this launch party, but we had a hook. So the marketing was, come and tie dye with us, because that's like my nature, right? I know you said you're like, this doesn't even exist, but people would send me all over the world to wash their denim, to design and wash their denim. And I would spend days, and there's a thing called a wash house, which is like huge football fields full of like
Oh my
washing
gosh.
facilities, dryers, hand sanders, all these things that we create denim with. And then I love denim, and I haven't touched it since I got laid off from my old job. And now tie-dye, because when you're a wash specialist, you just you create washes, you create tie-dye, you create denim. And so I've just been kind of working in my, when they say work in your genius, it's just what it is, who I am as a designer. And then the business strategy of what I do, I have surrounded myself with, thankfully, women like yourself and other really extraordinary women who inspire me every day, and who I think is great. Like, I have to keep on feeding myself with goodness, because I know that I don't know it all, but I'm always so motivated to see other women and their successes, and then how I can help them, or, how we can kind of vibe off of one another for our businesses. So that was probably the biggest challenge. And then the next biggest, I would say, challenge of switching from like full-time professional woman to stay-at-home mom entrepreneur was just, how was I gonna fund this? How was I gonna make money? How is that actually gonna happen? And it was a one moment of going from, hey, come and tie-dye with me, we want you at our events, we want this, and then the lockdown happening with COVID. And I was like, I have invested money into all of this, and what am I gonna do? Like, I'm surrounded by all these tie-dye supplies, and my calendar is clear. So it was, and I'll tell you, it was this one moment, and I'm not afraid to say it was fear-based and panic. I cried. I got like 15 minutes of ugly, ugly crying. And I looked down and I looked around, and I saw this box that the kids got. It was like a cooking kit or something. And I was like, huh. And so I started folding and playing with all the stuff that I'd already sourced, because I had done the research. It was already there. But I looked around and I was like, what do kids love? They love slap bracelets. They love colorful things. They love hair ties, like all the stuff that we were planning on doing for giveaways to like people to engage. And I just put it in a little kit. I took a picture. It was not pretty. And I still have that picture to remind me. I put it up on my website, 1, 2, 3, and they just started selling.
Wow.
And so, not so much later, I just called everybody, and I used to say Rolodex, but now everybody in my phone book, because that is really your strongest tool, right? It's the people and the people that know you, and they want to see you succeed. So I called and called and called, and so many people said, oh, maybe I can help, this, whatever. But at the end of the day, it was one person who put me in touch with another person that, took my kits to market, and it just ended up happening. But it was a lot of hard work and diligence, and not being discouraged when one person didn't follow through, or another person, like 5 people didn't follow through. Because I always tell myself, if I was 10 no's away from my first yes, I can. Like, I can get that. I can get that yes, and that's what it took. It just took diligence. Like, okay, that wasn't the right person in my story to be where I'm at today.
Right. Wow. I love that. I mean, I love the fact that you stepped in, right? Even though it wasn't perfect, even though there was the ugly cry that went along with it and just a picture on your photo, right?
Yeah.
You take the first step forward in putting it out. Sometimes good is good enough. And I think so many women hold back for that perfection thing, right? They're afraid to launch that product. They're afraid to put themselves out there. And when you did, look at what happened. People started, not everybody ended up, following through, but people showed up to help put it on the map.
For sure. I mean, there was so many instances where, I wasn't 100% sure how we were going to accomplish it or what I was going to do. Or, another challenge was when Nordstrom decided, the kit that I first launched has evolved now. And now it's this beautiful box. It's handcrafted, but designed by me, but manufactured and produced overseas. We still make custom kits here in America, but we have the stock that was produced overseas because of the margins. And just as a business person, you have to figure out how to make money and make your margins work. So, what was I going to say? So we were doing these, this setup, and I come from the front of the house design. I mean, I'm conceptual, I'm in sales, I have I'm on the design side. Not that I thought that I took it for granted or ever, really didn't. I just didn't know what it took to do the EDI, shipping, tracking, all the stuff that goes into selling retail and product. And so when you're the owner of your own very small show, I'm not going to say one woman show, because I do have a lot of people who help me. But I was doing the EDI for the first time. I was doing the drop shipping. I had to go in and set up all these things that I was like, if there was a point in time when I could doubt myself, that was it. Because it's not about the product, not about the design. I love that part. That is like what makes me tick. It was all the other stuff that I didn't know. I was biting off, there were so many times I was like, am I biting off more than I can chew? There were, again, some tears, because homeschooling kids in the middle of COVID, I lost our caregiver for reasons of, there was too much risk with COVID, and then also budget. I had to make the change. And that's, that was a whole other Oprah, as I say, like a whole other thing that I have to, go into. But we did it. The boys were homeschooling, and I'm like, and you're doing this business. There was a resolute, like, this is what I am doing, and you have to figure it out. Like, so right. I did and got through it. And then I felt like I wanted to celebrate. I was like, do you guys even know? I just got that printer to work, and it works with that. And I mean, it was like so big, those are the things that people are like, so did you have a good day? I'm all, you don't even know how good this day is.
It's celebrating the little things, right? It's not always the big things at the end of the month or end of the year. It's a daily little thing, especially when we're, in launch mode and going through things and getting started and moving forward. I know,
and I'm sure too, because of your own journey. So
yeah, absolutely. Crazy. So on that same vein, if there was something that that you would tell your younger self now, right? You know, that person who was starting it all. And what would that thing be? What would you tell her now?
Oh God. Oh Lord. Um, so, I mean, I just think, keep on being true to yourself and trust yourself. I really will say is that, your parents love you so much. They really do want the best for you. So my mom and dad were always so, driving me to do better, to do the things, but they're always so supportive of what I wanted to do. But just to listen to yourself, because I've made some wrong turns. It took me longer than it probably should have to go through school, but then I decided to go back to art school.
Mhm.
And it was the best thing I could have done to become a designer and to be the person who I was meant to be and not try to, do all these other things that I thought I was supposed to do. And then when it gets really, really rough in your life, like your personal life, I always tell my kids, the smartest people I know when to ask for help. When I grew up in my life, people who were in therapy, people who, oh, something must be really wrong with them. You know what? I'm not ashamed that I have had so many life coaches. I've had therapists to get me through my divorce, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. But the best part about it is that I'm so much stronger now and I have so much vision. And I really like when people come to me and have a problem, like, I'm empathetic, but I also know that there's so much potential and possibility in the world, because if I overcome that situation in my life, then I mean, what can you not do,
Right. Right. No, absolutely. I appreciate that. You'd mentioned even earlier in the interview about the support system that you had around you, right? And I think that is so critical, having that support and having the people around you and getting the help, whatever that help is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned life coaches and therapists, but mentors and I mean, there's so many various things that and for we as women, I'm not sure why we hesitate to ask. There's that feeling like, oh, well, maybe we're weak if we ask for help. And no. I think encouraging people to ask for the help that they need, look for the resources, because no matter what you're going through, whether it's business or personal, as you referenced here, there are groups, there are mentors and coaches and therapists and all kinds of things, all kinds of support, even support groups that can help. Masterminds.
Yeah, when I started, I had a business coach and he was an old friend of mine. And he got me into a program that like really changed my whole frame of reference. And then I started working with, an entrepreneur group, and I met yourself. And like, there's so many different ways to keep you on track, to keep building your business. And I think for me, I'm so grateful. My dad is always here to help. I have, my team of ninjas. I call them the tie-dye ninjas. The team of ninjas who help me with my tie-dye business. And now there's a new project, which if you saw my house right now, you would be laughing because it looks like Santa's workshop. So I say the elves are coming over later today to help me pack and ship this new project and concept that I'm launching. I mean, there's so many things, and I'm never afraid. I'm like, who wants to come help? Who needs whatever. So yeah, I and then if people say no, I'm like, okay, thanks. If it doesn't work, that doesn't work out.
Love it. So how do you define success?
I'll tell you, when I was younger, I used to think that success was 100% monetary, that I could do whatever I wanted because I would make a good amount of money and I could travel. And there was a line in a movie, which I know is going to sound super cheesy, which is going to be really ironic that I use that statement. But they said, I just want to be wealthy enough to go to the Whole Foods cheese section and buy whatever cheese I want. And I remember thinking, yes, that is such a good goal, because cheese is so expensive when you make a charcuterie plate. I want to be able to buy all the cheese I want. So there was a time in my life that I could do that. And now things are a little different. But I will tell you, I'm so much happier and so much more fulfilled doing what I do right now, because I feel like every day I'm this much closer to like really, like when I say success to me is having me be such a huge part of my boy's life, but also driving my business, which makes me feel like it's not that like my last company, everything was so wonderful. I will tell you, we had a great business. so many things, like felt very successful in that space. But now I feel like how I try to run my business and how I try to lead and how I try to do things, I feel like it's on me, and it's me as a mom and it's me as a businesswoman. And granted, there's days where I'm like, I really could have done better. But like most of the days I'm so happy to be doing what I'm doing because I am 100% mom and I am 100% businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that it works.
Right. I love it. Yeah, we can have it. Well, we have it all in our own terms in a certain way. That's good. So if you had one tip to share with the listeners, what would that be?
One tip. Listen, I just think that you have to start, you have to get going. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. So sometimes building the ship while you're driving it, the way things have to go. And just know that I will say that I knew that when I started this back in 2020, January 1st, 2020, I knew that I would be in a completely different place in a year. And when I tell you, I was in a completely different place. So I'm going to say, just get started. And then I'm also going to say, listen to the opportunities and the possibilities that come your way, because what you may think is going to be your future, it'll turn into something else. Like I didn't know I was going to be doing tie-dye parties, had no clue. But honestly, that's one of my biggest volume drivers right now as far as revenue. And it's in the virtual space. What? Yeah. I mean, birthday parties are great too, but I do so much in the virtual corporate space, and we don't just do it nationally. Now we're doing it internationally. And we did, Google India, Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia just 2 weeks ago. Like, who knew? Who knew?
Right. Who knew? How fun. Awesome. I love it. All right. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, if they want to do tie-dye, they want to connect with you, they want to find out about your candle, all the various things that you're up to, where would they go to connect with you?
I would say the easiest way is our website, which is www.momma, spelled MOMMAOSA. And so that's mommaosa.com. And then we have momma.osa on Instagram, and Momma Coxy and Co. on Instagram is a whole other page. So yeah, you can definitely reach out and find me on any of those avenues. And if I don't get it first, I definitely get it second. So yeah, email us or contact us. There's so many fun things that are going on in our neck of the woods.
Great. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. And my final question for you, and wow, you really are a Yes, I Can woman and embody everything that Yes, I Can stands for in, stepping up and, whether it's shouting from the mountaintops or that small, soft yes, just, trying to take that next little step. But for you, why would you say that you are a Yes, I Can woman?
There's typically not a challenge that I say no to. And if I do say no, it typically is because it's not that perfect time. So I would say I try to take a step back and think about how I can do it. And sometimes saying yes, I can is also saying not right now. Maybe it's in the future, or maybe I have this on my plate right now, and prioritizing what I feel comfortable and confident doing as a woman. Okay, as a woman, as a businesswoman, as a mom, because sometimes family is, takes first priority. So yeah, I would just say, making sure you listen to that inner voice and making sure that you're doing what you have to do in order to say, yes, I can, and to be your word and to commit and to do what you need to do. So,
yeah, that is so spot on. Because Yes, I Can is definitely not about yes to everything.
Yeah.
Hear that loud and clear, ladies. Anybody who's listening to this. It's strategic yeses and abundant no's, and taking that step back and deciding whether it's a yes for you or yes, I can say no. Right? Yes, I can say no. Yeah. Yep. I can say no. I've given myself that permission. You've given yourself that permission. Jen, thank you so much. This has been such a great interview and such a great story to share with our listeners. I hope I'm sure actually they've gained some inspiration to just start, make that first step, right? Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Cathy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for all of our viewers and listeners, thank you for joining us for this edition of Yes, I Can Living. We look forward to seeing you again soon. And be sure to follow us over on Facebook or join our Facebook group, Yes, I Can Women. And over there, you'll be able to interact with people just like Jen, who are going on the journey with you. All right, until next time, I hope you have a great day and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.